Hi, and welcome to our Wednesday night broadcast. Thank you for jumping on with us this evening. If you're catching this on the rebroadcast and you're not catching this live, welcome. I always appreciate all of you who jump in the rebroadcast with us. If you are new and you haven't hit that subscribe or like button yet, please take a second to do so. That way you will be notified when we either upload our rebroadcast or we go live. Tonight we are going to be discussing why we are still depending on recipes. My name is Diane, and for the past 25 years, I have been helping women find nutrition plans and fitness programs to help them look and feel their best and live their most authentic life. And here in this community, we are doing that through the practice of intermittent fasting and developing a keto-like lifestyle for ourselves so we can, in fact, live our life authentically and end the dieting cycle. And that's exactly where we're going to start tonight with our discussion. If you're jumping on live or you're catching this through the rebroadcast, please do me a favor and put a comment in the comment section letting me know that you are here. At the end of the broadcast, I always open up the floor for discussion and welcome everyone who has stopped by to join us. So why is it that we are so dependent on recipes? I came up with tonight's subject for discussion after listening to a couple of different podcasts this week. I was listening to podcasts by people who live a ketogenic life and are practicing the ketogenic lifestyle. So a little bit more on the stricter keto side than what we really do here in this community as far as living keto-like, but nonetheless keto. And two things came up during these podcasts. And the first one is what we're going to talk about tonight. And that is that most people who are following a ketogenic diet and are on the forefront of sharing the information, so they're like thought leaders in the keto community, generally don't follow recipes. And the one podcast in particular that I listened to, and I'm not going to say who it was because I don't want to throw shade on anybody because their recipe book is how they support their family and what it is that they do in selling their cookbook and recipes. But this person admitted that they don't follow recipes and that they don't follow cookbooks, that they just eat a very simple and clean type of lifestyle, and that recipes take up too much time and they cost too much money to follow, and it's just too much thought process when living a keto or a keto-like lifestyle is really simple. And listening to this, I was like, I knew it, because that's what we teach in this community. Like, you do not need a recipe, or you do not need to be dependent on someone telling you a step-by-step process on how you're supposed to feed your body. And recipes, just like this person in this podcast was explaining, they're time consuming and they're cumbersome and they're expensive, because most of the time when you look through a very specific style of eating type of recipe book, you have to rehaul your whole like pantry and spice rack, and all of the things that you're used to cooking with are no longer going to work anymore. And you have to make a really big investment to get started in changing the way you're cooking. And I know, even for myself, this particular person that I'm referring to, I saw their recipe book. I think I saw it at Costco or something, and I flipped through it because I was super excited to see it because I follow their podcast. And I was like, there's no way I would ever be able to cook like this. There was way too many steps. There was way too many ingredients. I didn't know where to even go to purchase half of the things that were called for in a recipe. And I thought, who does this? Well, come to find out, the person who wrote this recipe book doesn't do it themselves, and most people shouldn't. Following recipes, or more specifically, being dependent on recipes, is really falling into that trap of living the dieter's mentality, where we stand there hopeless and helpless, like, I don't even know what to do. Please tell me what I need to eat. When it should be really simple, especially here in this community. And that is, when you follow what we have developed here as far as a keto-like lifestyle, you're following a nutritional plan or guideline that is higher in naturally occurring fats, Moderate to low protein, meaning that you just let your protein fall naturally within your day, and you're very conscious and or aware of when and where your carbs are coming from. Like, it is that simple. When you start developing recipes or you're putting complicated things together to fuel your body, what often happens is we become really frustrated and we feel overwhelmed. We end up falling into that cycle of long food prep days and super extravagant grocery shopping days. And I know of that because that's the lifestyle I used to live myself, where I would spend the entire Sunday grocery shopping, the entire Sunday meal prepping and putting recipes together for the week, and then all we did all week was eat. When you're into this intermittent fasting and keto-like lifestyle, and you eat intuitively based on the signs and signals that your body is sending you, you can dumb it down to the simplest of terms. More often than not, even in our house with 2 kids, a very typical dinner for us is some roasted vegetables or some air fried vegetables. We could have some sweet potatoes or potatoes or something roasted in our air fryer, some asparagus, a piece of meat, so maybe some chicken, maybe a piece of steak, maybe a turkey burger, maybe not. More often than not, we have just a simple bowl of cut up vegetables with a little olive oil and vinegar and some seasoning on it. And we repeatedly eat that over and over and over, where we just maybe switch up a couple ingredients and call it something else, but it's basically the same thing. You want to try to stick with one ingredient foods that come from the ground or as close to the ground as possible, and then season them with some really good clean fat and a little bit of like seasoning salt or something like that. And like literally, that's what we call a recipe. A recipe to me is cut up cucumber, tomato, some red onion, some avocado oil, a little red wine vinegar, and some 21 seasoning to salute, and that's a recipe, and we call it a salad. And we have a variation of that 2 to 3 times a week. When we become so dependent on someone else providing us with a step-by-step procedure of how it is we're supposed to fuel our body, what we fall into is that mentality of, if I don't have a recipe, then I don't know how to eat. And if I don't know how to eat, I'm just going to go with the easiest thing. And we can fall into that trap of eating processed food or fast food, or shoving our bodies full of food that might be just readily available because we don't know how to think for ourselves. So go back to the basics. Go back to what we know intuitively we're supposed to do with our body in regards to nutrition. We want to keep it as clean as possible, and clean being defined as one ingredient food that is coming from the ground or as close to the ground as possible. Putting moderate to low amounts of protein in your diet, because surprisingly there's protein in just about everything, including the vegetables that we're eating. And then put fat in as many areas of your day as you possibly can. Olive oil, olives, avocado oil, coconut oil, nuts in moderation. We oil everything in our house. We oil and salt just about everything in our house as a means to get our fat intake up. Surprisingly, oiling and salting everything makes the flavor so much more abundant and makes your meals so much more enjoyable, that you become so satisfied with the simplest of foods because your palate is getting everything that it needs to feel satisfied. So you don't need a super complicated recipe in order to satisfy your own palate. And then once you get your hunger hormones under control, which is exactly what we teach in the course that we teach here in this community, Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman, when your hunger hormones are under control, you no longer desire those complicated or super extravagant type of meals, because the simplest of foods will taste so amazing to you when you just bring it back down to them coming into your body the way they were designed to. And that's one ingredient foods seasoned with some fat and some seasoning salts. Like literally, that's it. When we become dependent on recipes, and like I said, we overcomplicate ourselves, it's really easy to blame someone else for why something is not working. And that can be really true with a lot of what I've seen. And like I said, I've looked through a lot of these recipe books, and now I know like there's people coming out admitting it who are very, very successful with the keto type of lifestyle, who are, like I said, thought leaders in this way and style of eating that are now admitting, Callie, what is our little Callie's barking? Sorry about that. Who are now admitting they don't even follow their own recipe books or their own philosophies of cooking in that style of living. What you'll most often find in a keto type of environment is the justification to treat yourself or to overindulge in things like fat bombs and pork rinds and a lot of heavy dairy. And if you're living that type of lifestyle and it's working for you, then by all means, that's fantastic. But for a lot of us, it just doesn't work and it ends up backfiring on us. And another thing about recipes, if you are a recipe person and you find complete joy in the kitchen, then recipes are your jam for sure. And you should definitely follow your recipes or do what it is that you do to find pleasure in the kitchen. But there are a lot of people who get stressed out by that thought and literally are helpless when someone's not providing them with a set of recipes to say, eat this on Monday, eat this on Tuesday, eat this on Wednesday, eat this on Thursday. We don't have to follow meal plans anymore. We should be listening to the signs and signals that our body is sending us and intuitively feed our body with common sense, one ingredient foods. So I thought that was amazing when I listened to those podcasts. Like I said, there was two women, I think there was one woman and one man actually, that were discussing this and admittedly saying that they don't even follow their own recipe books. And I thought, yes, the truth is finally coming out. We can take the pressure off of ourselves and just go back to the basics. The other podcast that I've listened to where a truth bomb came out that I was like, oh, I knew that too, was a book that Michael and I refer to a lot as far as exercising in ketosis and the benefits of being a fat burner and supplementing your body to enhance your ketogenic state, and how that's so much more beneficial for cardio type of workout and runners like myself and endurance type athletes. And all that old school thinking is out the window now with having to carbo load your body. Just there's no science to back it up, and it causes us a lot of problems. And the person that was discussing the book that they wrote about this admitted that they titled their book with the word diet on it solely to sell more books. And when you write books and you sell books, and that's the means in which you're making your living, that's understandable. But as consumers, we have to keep our thinking caps on, and we have to read between some of these marketing lines and know that just because it says the word diet on it doesn't mean that you have to follow something verbatim. Read a book, read a philosophy, look at a recipe for some inspiration if you need to, and how to mix some things together in a different way. But let go of that thought that you're a helpless person if someone is not sending you a set of guidelines that you have to follow verbatim. You should use these things like nutrition books and guidebooks and recipes as a way to spark your interest and to get you thinking about what it is you need as an individual, and not consider yourself one of the many or one of the masses that's being marketed to. Put your thinking cap on, ask yourself if this applies to you, take the best of what it is that you're looking at, and implement the things that will make a difference in your life. But let go of that need and that desperation and that crutch that a lot of us have, that we can't feed ourselves unless we have a recipe. Surprisingly, a salad with some cucumber, some tomato, a little bit of onion, and some olive oil could technically be a dinner. Like, you don't need any more than that. When you're incorporating a really good intermittent fasting protocol with a really healthy feasting environment, and I mean healthy mentally, emotionally, physically, and nutritionally, you'll be so amazed at how simple your life will be and how much money you're going to save when you stop overfeeding your body. We are an overfed society and we overcomplicate nutrition. It is really, really simple. So if you're one of those women, like I was one of those women who used to depend on someone telling me what I was supposed to eat every 2 hours, and I couldn't do anything unless it was laid out in a pamphlet or laid out in a book or laid out on a calendar, rethink that and think about where that practice of feeding your body has gotten you. And for me, it got me sick. It got me sick with diabetes. It got me sick with a really unhealthy brain. It got me sick with insulin resistance. It got me depressed. It got me in a weight gain situation that I couldn't get myself out of until I started thinking for myself and let go of those old, outdated, not scientifically proven methods of feeding my body. And I really started thinking for myself, and I developed a plan that now works for not only myself, but my entire family. We've simplified what we do about food. I no longer spend an entire day on the weekend food prepping and grocery shopping. And our kids and my husband and myself have all really learned how to just feed our bodies intuitively. So give yourself a break and give yourself permission to let go of some of that stress that we tend to have with this whole diet and nutrition and feeding ourselves way of thinking. It's really simple. Just get really good, solid food. And then if your body responds well to it, then those are your go-to foods. And the things that your body is not responding well to, you got to learn to let those go. I'm going to go ahead and welcome everyone and see what's comments and questions we have here and say hello to everyone. I'm going to jump onto YouTube first because I made you guys wait on Monday night. So I'll welcome everyone, and then Facebook, I'll jump on over to you. So Jessica, welcome. Pam, nice to have you here. Dorothy, Lynette, Pamela, good to see you as well. Crunchy Menopause, that's an interesting name. I love your channel, wondering what you mean by keto-like lifestyle. Okay, so the way we defined keto-like lifestyle, and it really kind of came from Michael and some of the philosophies we have in our own life, is a high-fat, moderate to low protein, conscious carbohydrate. Meaning that we put carbohydrates into our life in a way that makes us feel like we're living authentically. We have young kids. We like to socialize. We don't want to ever think about never having pizza again to stay in a ketogenic philosophy or strict way of eating. So we really have just become very conscious in the way we have carbohydrates fall into our life. And we have learned how to take away the ones that have really been unnecessary to us. We found a way to fit the ones in that are really important to us. And then we have found some that also fit into our life really naturally that are beneficial to us. So you have to kind of work through it, and it takes a little bit of time, and it takes a lot of label reading, and it takes a lot of discussion. Michael and I are very keto I guess, now than we were a year ago. We used to have a lot of exceptions, and we used to be very loose with what we were doing in our feast. Now that we're working out and we've really become comfortable with letting go of a lot of those nicety foods, we're more keto and less I guess, today. We're not ketogenic in any way, but we've just really understood like what carbs do to our body, and we've really been able to maturely let go of some things that we kind of held on as a crutch. So keto-like is just allowing some flexibility with what you're putting in your body carbohydrate-wise. Or that's how we define it. Okay, Jessica, no recipes for sure. Tina from New York, welcome. I love eating simply, have so many recipe books collecting dust. Yeah, so do we. We have an entire shelf, and I'm ready to ditch them. And plus, you can download ideas on the internet these days so easy. So, Lynette, very costly. Yes, it is. P.S. I never use recipes. Good for you. Deborah from Nevada. Jessica, if you can't grow it, you can't eat it. There you go. That's a great philosophy. Dorothy, I make my own recipes. Yeah, me too. I am always, I like to look at pictures and look at things as a guide, and then I always tweak them. I never, ever would ever use the recipe verbatim. It's just, and if it's more than 2 steps, right, Michael? If it's more than 2 steps in a cooking process, we're probably not going to have it in our house. It's just way too much work. Dorothy, I make my own recipes. Linda, wow, I'm very late, but happy to be following. Oh, awesome. Good to have you here. Grab a veggie, greens keep you fuller longer. Exactly. Jamie, I like lots of fresh veggies cooked and raw, and your avocado, and add your avocado and you're good to go. Exactly. Fressa from Washington. Hello. Okay, let's see what we got over here on YouTube. Facebook, I'm sorry. I have this worst headache, you guys, and I feel like I'm coming down with a cold, so excuse me if I'm a little loopy. I probably just need to wash my face and go to bed. Lee Ann, hello, girlfriend. Catherine, hello. Jill, nice to see you here. Donna, Allison, hello. Samantha, I'm in your July group and loving it. Oh, thank you, Samantha. I'm so happy to have you in July. Yvonne, good to have you here. Tracy, hello. No recipes here. I will look at them for inspiration or ideas to try new veggies. There you go, Yvonne. And Yvonne's my vegan inspiration. So I love that. Even I know a lot of vegans feel like they have to follow recipes too, because I mean, you know, it's almost like you have to be always being creating new things. And I love, Yvonne, that you seem to be able to live your lifestyle pretty effortlessly. And I'm always very impressed by that. Gayla, in your July group, awesome. Susan, back from vacation and back on track, fantastic. Love to hear that. Mary, I love creating my own plants-based meals, switching it up every day with different veggies, good fats, and herbs for my garden and nuts. Yeah, exactly. We've even cut out nuts recently because we found that we were just like mindlessly snacking on them, and that's made a huge difference for us too. It's just not having those mindless things that you can kind of just put in your mouth because you're feasting windows open. And that's helped a lot too, cost-wise and snacking, mindless snacking-wise. Amanda, sneaking for a peek while on break. Well, good for you. Thanks for jumping on with us. Let's see. Teresa, I love to cook simple things. Yeah, me too. We had pesto and siete chips for dinner tonight because we had a really big breakfast meal. We had some scrambled eggs and some bacon and stuff late this afternoon, so we had a light dinner. And if you're on our email list, you'll get my pesto recipe. I think it's this Friday. We love it. Kids love it too. It's super easy to make. Jillian, I like following recipes sometimes. Others, I just throw things together. Yeah, me too. Some of our best dinner, our favorite dinners have come from me just making a mistake, and actually we ended up liking it. Lauren, totally agree. Awesome. Amanda, is frozen veggies okay? There's philosophies on frozen vegetables, and I think it's the way they're frozen that makes it matter as far as, you know, preserving the nutrients. And I think you want to try to get organic if you can. I think is the philosophy on that, right, Michael? Yeah. So you have to. I think it's flash frozen is what you want them to be. Laura, I'm so tired of trying to diet. Yeah, so just stop. Just eat intuitively is the best way to go. Lisa, I agree. You're welcome for all the help for sure. Terry, hello. Sandra, good to have you. Backfire, yes, yeah, for sure. Getting out of recipe jail. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Andrea, thanks for jumping on with us. Amanda, you're welcome. Jill, love the cat. The cat.
Oh, no, she's talking about Callie. Yes, dog.
Oh, yes, a dog. Allison, I love the simplicity and flexibility of IF. No planning and portioning, and happy with my lower grocery bill, too. Yeah, that is always nice. So what we've done is we've really like moved money around, and we took the money that we were saving on all the mindless things that we're eating, and we've upgraded some things. So we've upgraded, like I said, the chicken and the beef that we eat. We've upgraded the eggs that we eat. We upgraded our water consumption. You know, it was a big thing that we've upgraded. What other things have we kind of switched and upgraded?
Those are the main things.
Yeah, and then we don't mind buying organic if it's available. We don't stress about having everything organic, but I never flinch anymore if there's something that's organic next to something that's non-organic. I'll always try to get the organic if it looks good. So, you know, it's repurposing your money and making it go farther, which I think is the best thing about this lifestyle as well. Ada, what do you think about CrossFit? I personally am not a fan of CrossFit, and that's just because I've done, I think, 1 or 2 CrossFit workouts, and I just feel like it's too out of control for me. So I'm not a fan. But I know a lot of people who really love it. So I say it's like anything else. Like, I love running, but there's people who don't love running. So it's a personality thing. You have to find what inspires you to work out and makes you excited about working out every day. And then you have to know what your goals are. So when you know all that, then you find a workout like philosophy that fits with all that for you. So if that's your jam, I say definitely go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. Catherine, preach, Diane. Yeah. Oh, when I heard that podcast this morning, I was like, I knew it. I knew these people can't cook this way all the time. It's too much work. But I do think it's great that they, put recipes books together because yes, it doesn't provide inspiration for people and. But to think that you have to live that way for every meal or all the time is just not realistic. And then what we've done, another way we've repurposed some grocery shopping money, is when we want something fancy or a recipe, we go out to eat, and we really have learned to enjoy the opportunity that we have and the privilege that we have to go out as a family and eat dinner. And so we reserve fancy food for when we go out to eat, and it's really made us appreciate going out more, I think, too, which has been nice. Jill, yes, outdated and not scientifically proven methods of feeding our bodies made us sick. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And part of that, or some of that, I think was kind of a planned. I think they kind of knew what they were doing to us. Deborah, intermittent fasting is helping me feel so much healthier, losing excess fat. I sometimes cheat a little, but permanent positive changes are happening. Yeah, Deborah, and do me a favor. Take the word cheat out. What I always like to say and what I like to teach is that you just made a choice. And when you say that you made a choice, so let's say I was going to go out tonight and have a little bit of frozen yogurt with the family. I just made a choice to go have frozen yogurt and enjoy it with my family. I don't ever consider that a cheat. And emotionally, that changes the way you think and removes all the guilt because you just made an educated decision about a choice you wanted to make with something you wanted to put in your body. It allows you to enjoy it more, and then you don't have the after guilt associated with it. So just make a choice to enjoy something that you don't normally do and just leave it at that, and that will help you a lot for sure. Shannon, when and what is a good time to exercise during IF? That's a personal thing too, and a lot of times it has to do with goals. From what we're studying and what we've experienced ourselves, that cardio is usually best done in a fasted state. And when you're doing like maybe even like a CrossFit workout, I don't know enough about that, or you're lifting maybe even heavier weights, it's usually good or better, or it feels better on your body when you do that feasted. So it's that thing that you have to play around with and find what works best for your body and how you emotionally connect a feeling to what it is you're doing in your fitness. So I personally like to work out in a fasted state. Trina, makes sense. Okay, good. Marina, is it best to work out towards the end of IF in order to get in protein? Yes and no. I mean, they say, again, this is all those things that they say, so you have to take that information and test it out on your own body. That you should have, especially for women, about 20 grams of protein in your body within an hour of working out. But you have to also know, are you working out hard enough to justify the need for that? I don't know. That's something you have to test out for yourself. So I always say, run a test for a series of time, a week, 2 weeks, whatever. Work out, add some protein in, see if you get the changes that you want. Work out, don't add protein in, see what happens to your body. You have to play around with it. There's no one set of rules fits everyone. And so play with it and see what's best for you. Some people find benefits in that and some people don't. I am not super stressed out about getting X amount of grams of protein in my body after I work out. I'm just not. If I feel like I'm really drained after a fasted workout, then I might do something where I put something in, but I don't do anything as a set of rules every single day. So I would play with it and see how you feel for sure. Melanie, hello. Dee, hello. Cindy, what about beer? My only problem is in the summer. Because you like to drink beer in the summer, beer is one of those iffy ones, and it's mostly just because of the way beer is processed, and because it's gluten. So it will cause you some intolerances there, especially if you're getting all other gluten out of your body. Michael and I have gotten to that point where we justified it, and now we're like, ugh, every time we drink a beer, we don't feel good. So you have to keep reevaluating the rules that you have for yourself, and then when you start to feel really good, and we always say that nothing tastes as good as healthy feels, or nothing tastes as good as thin feels, and all those little sayings that we say, you'll get to the point where you'll wean yourself off of the things that stop making you feel good.
If
So,
it's not distilled, sometimes can be toxic.
yeah, and if beer is not distilled,
Beer is not distilled.
It can be toxic. And toxic meaning it can cause you inflammation and cause all kinds of problems within your system. And you won't be able to connect that until you get really good at listening to the signs and signals. So Michael and I have been really, really particular about what we're doing, even in that those choices that we make for ourselves.
Sometimes the right beer is okay.
Yeah, yeah. So sometimes the right beer is okay. So you have to just figure out what the right beer for you is. But I don't drink wine at all. Like I look at a glass of wine and I'm like, ugh. Like, no, I don't even want the after effects or the after feelings of that. And it took me a long time to get there. And before I was intermittent fasting and when I was sick, I admitted, like, I could drink a bottle of Kendall Jackson Chardonnay while making dinner. Like, not a problem. A glass of wine while I got all the stuff out. I could have a glass of wine that I would sip on while I'm cooking, a glass of wine while we're eating dinner, and then a glass of wine while I'm cleaning up the kitchen. Like, I saw no problem with that. Not at all. And now even looking at a glass of wine, I'm like, oh, that would make me feel so bad. Sugar-wise and whatever else wise with wine. I can't even stomach it. So you'll go through those phases and just pay attention while you're going through those phases and just make those conscious decisions when you get there, for sure. But if you feel like beer is a problem for you, then you have to go, why am I continuing to let this problem happen? And if beer is keeping you from getting to your healthy goals, you have to ask why you're letting beer be more important than health. Or why is it that beer is more important than you feeling your best? Or why is beer more important than you looking your best? And then you have to go through those series of why questions till you find your answers. And that's the best way to figure that kind of stuff out. Yvonne, yes, fancy food I go out for. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Deborah, okay choice. I like that. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome, for sure. I had to do the same thing because I used to call it a cheat meal too, because that's where the industry that I came from is you had a cheat day. And now I just prefer to make very wise decisions for myself. And a wise decision could be going out and having frozen yogurt. Or a wise decision might be you have a margarita at dinner. Or a wise decision might be whatever it is you decide to do. But own it, enjoy it, and then get to your next day is what I always say. Melanie, what is the first thing you eat after you fast? There's not one first thing. I vary it up all the time. But I try to stay away from anything that's going to make me feel bad would be the best answer I could give you for that kind of question. Becky, I had frozen yogurt today too. I planned on it all day and went to cycle class tonight as my punishment. Just kidding. I love cycle class. Yeah, but if you're going to go work it off, like that's great too. So you knew you're going to have a splurge and then you just went and worked it off. And it's not punishment because you probably felt fantastic after that cycle class if you cycle like I do. Lisa, do you feel having wine will cause problems with IF? Okay. It depends on, you have to define problems. So what are your goals? And how sick is your body? For me, I was super sick, and it was super sick because of sugar. So was wine causing me problems with intermittent fasting? Yes, because I wanted to get my body into a fat-burning, keto-adaptive type of state and into autophagy. And if I had to burn through all the glycogen in my body from just feasting, even though I was feasting very consciously, and then I had a glass of wine, my body had to burn off the wine, it'd have to burn off the stored glycogen, and it'd have to get to the point of being fat burning within a certain amount of time. And if I didn't get to that fat burning time when I broke my fast, then I skipped the healing part of autophagy. So you have to think about it and almost picture the burning process of your body and what it's going through in the time in which you're fasting. If you're fasting 12 to 16 hours and you're drinking wine, best of luck to you trying to get into a fat burning state. Probably not going to happen. If you're drinking wine, a little glass of wine, and it's a Pinot Noir with a lower sugar, and you're really, really, really conscious about your other carbs, and you're fasting for 12 or 20 hours in a very clean state, yeah, you'll probably get to a fat burning stage, but it's going to take you a lot longer than if you just skip the wine. So if you're going to have wine, plan it for special occasions. Don't make it the norm, make it the exception or the treat every now and then that will help you fit it into your goals. But if it's just what you do every night, you sit on the couch with a glass of wine, you're probably going to find that you're getting to your goals a lot slower. So you have to consider all that and then really consider about what your goals are. And that's fine too. If your goal is to have a glass of wine every night and you're cool with the fact that you're not getting into that deep energized sense of calm that we talk about here, that's okay too, because those are your goals that you've set for yourself. But don't beat yourself up and don't be disappointed and don't feel like you're failing at something. You're successful at exactly what you laid out for yourself, and that's having a glass of wine every night and fasting for whatever amount of hours you set up. Those are your guidelines, and those are what you set up for yourself, and you're following those and you're achieving those. But if your goals are different, then you got to make some changes for sure. Let's see. D, you're welcome. Jill, thank you so much, Diane. I love you. Talk about you all the time. Oh, Jill, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's the nicest thing you can say. Sarah, I missed all the good stuff. We'll watch on the replay. Awesome. Cindy, thank you so much. Didn't realize the inflammation with beer. Yeah, pay close attention to that for sure. And different kinds of beers will make you feel different kinds of ways. So you have to pay attention to that too. Most of the time when we are not feeling well with intermittent fasting, it's not what we're doing in our fasting, it's what we're choosing to do in our feasting. So keep a close eye on that for sure. Cindy, thank you so much. Didn't realize it. Oh, okay, I already said that. Susan, I'm so glad to catch you live. So grateful for your program, learning so much. Awesome, Susan. I'm so glad you're learning. D, I'm really not understanding the fasting when and how. D, are you in our course? If you're in
Can
our...
you read the
Yeah.
questions?
Well, yeah. Okay, Michael's going to read that comments on YouTube. Hold on.
Fresa Rojas, are fat bombs good as a snack? I get sweet cravings. Can those fat bombs be good to curb the sweet cravings?
The best thing you can do to curb your sweet cravings is to balance out your hunger hormones and balance out your hormones and get rid of any unnecessary sweets or carbs that you're consuming in your day. So carbs and sweets make you crave sweets, and if you break that craving, then it won't happen. So I noticed that when I was using stevia as a crutch in my coffee, it was making me crave sweets later in the day. And as soon as I ditched the stevia in my coffee, I no longer craved sweets. So sweet sensations even will make you crave sweet things. So break your habit of adding sweet things in, and that will help for sure. Fat bombs are kind of they're kind of a crutch too. I mean, yeah, they're definitely something you want to like have available if you need a snack or you have like a treat that you want to have with some chocolate or whatever. They're good for that, but they're a dessert in most cases, and you have to ask yourself the question, how many times can I allow a dessert in my week and get to the goals that I want to get to? For some people, maybe every day. For others, maybe not at all. Maybe some 1 or 2 days a week. So you have to ask yourself those questions, and that's where I say you have to start thinking for yourself again. And just because Betty is eating fat bombs 3 times a day and looking fantastic doesn't mean that you can eat fat bombs 3 times a day. You have to think through it and how does that fit into your life and what is that gonna do to your body and your goals.
Amy Carrington, I'm vegan and a total slave to recipes. I have zero confidence in my culinary creativity.
Well, if the recipe thing is working for you and it helps you with what it is that you're trying to do, they're not a bad thing. But if you're helpless without recipes, or you're waiting on someone to send you a set of recipes so you can feed yourself, that's where the dependency problem lies. So if they're working for you, then they're working for you. That's fine. And if it does offer you a sense of inspiration, that's fantastic too. So they're only a bad thing if they become a crutch and they immobilize you if they're not present, is the big message that I want to send. And to know that you don't have to follow a keto cookbook to live this kind of lifestyle. Just eliminate all the unnecessary sugars and carbs from your life and you're living a keto-like lifestyle. It's really that simple.
Crunchy menopause. Do you know much about the adrenal gland and how that pertains to weight loss?
Yes and no. I don't have any personal experience on it. And I don't really want to just throw something out there because I would think that would be irresponsible. So the best thing that I would say is if your doctor has told you that you're in adrenal fatigue or you're, if there's something wrong with your adrenals, the best advice I can give to any woman, regardless of what it is that you're suffering from health-wise, is to give your body an opportunity to reset itself. And the best way you can give your body an opportunity to reset itself is to just let it be empty for a good amount of hours of your day. And what we're finding here in this community, that 20 hours of a clean fast consistently over time is the best thing that can heal your body, because your body's going to conserve the energy that it was using to digest and process food into a state of repairing your body down to the cellular level. So let your body balance itself out, and then whatever it is that you're doing in your feasting window, keep it as clean as you can, eliminating gluten, dairy, soy. Try to take as many toxins out of your environment as you can. Try to make sure that you're eliminating stress from your life. Try to make sure that you're getting enough restful sleep, and restful sleep, meaning that you're going to get into that deep sleep, and then be patient with yourself, because whatever it took you to get to that point where something's wrong with your adrenals, it's going to take you that much time to get out of it. So be patient and just continually do good for your body, and what you'll start to see is some of those things will start to reverse for you.
You're going to love this one. Fresa Rojas, I'm so grateful that I found you. You saved my life and marriage. God bless you always.
Aww.
Thank you, Diane.
Oh, you're welcome, girlfriend.
And she says, as soon as I get the funds, I will join your course.
Oh, awesome. Okay, and keep doing what you're doing. And you did the work. Here's the thing that I really try to express here in everything that we talk about is take whatever the topic of conversation is for the night and just process it and go, wow, that hit home for me. I think I'm going to consider implementing some of that. Or, wow, she had no idea what she was talking about there. It doesn't pertain to me at all, and let it all go. This is not a pointing finger type of community where you have to do this or you're not going to have success, or you have to do this or you're going to fail at this. It's not like that at all. Think about it. Have you ever considered this? Have you ever thought about trying this? Hey, give it a shot for 7 days. See what happens. Let me know how it worked for you. And just consider some new things for yourself, and then just go back to thinking for ourselves. Quit depending on other people to tell you what to do to take care of yourself, because 9 times out of 10 they're not going to consider you when they're giving you advice about you. They're going to consider themselves, and that's not a fair way for us to live our lives.
Lynette Maldonado, been on IF 3 weeks, felt too tired to jog. Today went 2 miles. Felt
Awesome.
a little lightheaded while fasting.
Okay, so Lynette, you're probably going from being a sugar burner to a fat burner if you're feeling fatigued, and that's totally normal. It's your body's energy system switching from one means of energy burning to the other. And our bodies don't always like change when it's in the process of changing. Your body is going to love becoming a fat burner because your body is just going to be more efficient in that way of burning energy. So congratulations for getting through the fatigue part. You've run 2 miles, so now you know you can do that, and then you're just going to keep progressing from here for sure.
That is it.
That's it? Okay, let me see what else we got over here. I'm really not understanding the fasting when and how. So Dee, the best advice I can give you is get into our course where we explain this right down to the basics of it. And fasting is just really taking a set amount of time within your 24-hour period and not consuming anything except water or black coffee or tea. And then you feast. And that's really what it is. And you're just allowing your body an opportunity to balance out your hormones and reset your hunger hormones, more importantly, so that everything else balances out as well. Anything else over there, Michael?
Crunchy Menopause says, is kombucha tea bad?
Kombucha tea is not bad, but you have to ask yourself why you're drinking it. So, it's definitely full of alcohols, so you have to ask yourself if that's what you want to put in your body. It would be considered a feast for sure, so you would only want to do it in your feasting window. And it is, again, one of those things that has to have a place in your life, and you have to go, do I need this? It's meant to help your gut heal. Well, do you specifically need to have your gut healed in that way? And have you ever considered just emptying out your gut for several hours throughout your day, so you're not putting anything in your gut that's going to mess up your gut biome? And have you allowed your gut the opportunity to balance itself out? If you haven't done those things, then drinking kombucha tea, or if you haven't taken the time to figure out what foods are intolerant to you, and gluten is a known gut problem type of food. So if you haven't gotten gluten out of your system, and you haven't gotten dairy out of your system, and you haven't gotten soy out of your system, and you're drinking kombucha tea, you're probably just wasting your money, because it's not going to be magical for you. So if you're not doing all the other healthy things to help fix your gut, then drinking kombucha tea is kind of a waste of money, in my opinion. Because you're not doing the other things that you're not taking away the other things that are messing up your gut in the first place. Okay, what else, Michael?
Robin LeBrand, she has two
Okay.
questions. She says, Robin from Chicago, Diane, purchased the ketones. I'm tweaking my workouts to yoga and walking. Should I still take ketones or wait till working out again? And the other part of the question is, also, I tried the ketones once at bedtime and could not sleep. Any thoughts?
Yeah, so if you're taking a supplement to enhance what it is you're working out at, again, you'd want to know, are you working at the level where it's going to benefit you? Yes or no? Like, I can't answer that, only you could answer it. There's so many benefits to ketone supplementation outside of just energizing a workout. From the fact that you're immediately getting ketones sent to your brain, so it can't hurt you. Like, if you want to have a really good focused day at work, putting that kind of supplement in your body is going to only enhance what it is you're having going on mentally. The not sleeping part, I don't know. It could have been many factors. I mean, Michael and I could drink ketones 10 minutes before we go to bed and we sleep like babies. So, but that's just us. So I would play around with it a little bit, and then, and keep experimenting. And if you want to experiment with doing something before you go to bed to help you sleep, and you're worried about something keeping you awake, I would reserve that just to the weekends. So if you do have a tossy-turny night that, that you're not going to have a bad day the next day.
Maybe try it a little bit earlier,
Yeah.
and only do half or something.
Yeah, only do half, or start a little bit earlier, and then maybe have a really big glass of water after to kind of dilute it in your system. So you have to play around with that again too. Make sure you're putting enough water in it before you go to bed, like I said, to kind of just help it dilute through your system, and that will help too. Everything's an experimentation, because like I said, not one set of rules applies to every person in the same fashion. The way Michael eats is completely different than the way I eat. The way Michael supplements his body is completely different than the way I supplement my body. The way he works out is completely different than I work out. We can't cookie cutter it, because we're two completely different bodies. And you all know, like, men lose weight so much faster and so much seemingly easier than women. So we can't do anything the same, because if I followed what he was doing, I would gain weight. And if he followed what I was doing, he would be withering away to nothing. So you have to find your own way, and then experiment with some things, and just give yourself some grace while you're trying to tweak it and figure it out for yourself. So with that being said, it's almost an hour that we've been talking here, and I absolutely love it, but I've got to get to bed, and I'm sure a lot of you have to do the same thing, or have dinner with your family, or whatever it is that you're doing on this amazing Wednesday night. So I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for jumping on with us. A couple quick announcements, if you guys don't mind. Our August course registration is currently open. If you have questions about intermittent fasting and you want to jump in with a community of people, get into the August course. I promise you we will get all your questions answered in there, and we'll help you simplify what it is you're doing in your feasting window. Friday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, we will be doing a live Grits book review and chapter breakdown on my Instagram channel at For Today's Aging Woman on Instagram. We will be also reposting these broadcasts on my blog, but we're not going to do it until a week later, so that everyone can kind of catch up, and we really want you guys to be on the live with us. So if you can join us, that would be fantastic. And then at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, Michael and I will be over on our IF Keto Family Life page on Facebook, where we will be talking about something keto-like over there on Friday. So anywhere you guys can join us, we always appreciate you jumping in on the conversation. And then if you're in our July Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course, I will be going live privately in that group Saturday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then for my F3 course, you get to see me at 1 p.m. on Saturday in our course as well, where we'll be talking about exercise and our brain health. So I'm super excited to go over that topic with you guys in the F3 course. So I'm going to be in a lot of places. I hope you'll be meeting me up in those places as well. If you're joining me for Grit on Friday, bring a pen and a paper and bring your book. We're going to go cover a lot of really good information, and I'm super excited to get into that with you guys. As always, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to spend some time with me. And I hope the decisions that you make this week really do lead you to looking and feeling your best and living your most authentic life. Have a good night.